wine here because it's time for design sips. Let's do it. All right, how's everybody doing? Oh, and I got the knife out. Let me try not to hurt myself, shall I? Hi. All right, I'm gonna let everybody kind of gather as I get some vino happening. And I will welcome you all in. So I am squeaking on through, opening a bottle of Chardonnay. I've just been like on this same Chardonnay kick, for so long. I really need to buy some mixed cases of wine so I can stop boring you silly with my very same selections all the time. But that's okay. We'll talk about something else. So I'm Sandra Funk, and this is Design Sips. And today we are going to talk about the business of interior design while we sip on a glass of something. You do you. I'm going to be having this here Sonoma Cutrer Chardonnay. Okay, cheers to you, and cheers to making it through another week. That's worthy, absolutely worthy of a cheers. Absolutely worthy. Okay, so what I would really love to know is, can you comment where you're joining us from? Right down there. I would love to hear if you are having a drink, what you are drinking. Tea, water, wine, coffee, mud water. I don't know. What do you got? Tell me what you're drinking. And I'd love to hear where you're joining us from. So fun as our designer connection has gone worldwide. I don't know if you guys know this. It's one of my fun facts that I'm obsessed with. I'm so squeaky today. My apologies. The interior design standard is in at least 15 countries around the world. Isn't that fun? 15 countries. To think that we're all able to do this together, all right here online, makes me so happy. So awesome. Hi, what's going on? Okay, so before we dive in, I want to tell you a smidge bit about what's going on next week. It's a big week. We are live with the standard next week. And what we love to do when we are in like standard week is we love to just give you tons and tons and tons of content and information. So you will be seeing me a ton more than usual. I will be going live almost every day and just really trying to, show my love for this community by providing as much information as I can. So I rely back on that Rise Designers Rise all the time. And for me, it's all about sharing information. The more that we share with one another, the better we all are, because together we become stronger, right? If we share best practices with one another, if we share tips and tricks, if we share great vendor resources, if we share ways to be a little bit more efficient, ways to price a little bit more efficiently, like I'm obsessed with that, as you know, any way to streamline, right? As our industry gets better, just in general, just better business, better sources, better design, more time to do the creative design work, right? That's a big one. Getting out of the 80-20 rule, where the 80% is running a business and only 20 is doing the creative work. Now, that's pretty much typical, but if the more that you can delegate and outsource as you grow, just be sure that you're delegating, outsourcing the things that you like least and not the things you like best, right? So that you can start to tip your scales ever so slightly, even though you still have to stay a business owner, but you can start to tip your scales where you get to spend a little bit more of that time in design, and maybe the outsource and the delegated bit is procurement, is expediting, is proposals, right? And then have I learned this lesson about 1 million times? You have to be the final look, right? When it's going out. You or your lead designer that you trust with your life, and you trust with those numbers, and you trust has like crazy attention to detail. That's the gig, right? But if you can get that first draft out of your way and off your plate, you can keep on crunching. You can go and do the marketing, and you can go and do a market and really get inspired, right? You can go and do a conference. There's a million things that you can do to help you continue to grow if you make space for that. So one of the big ones, the masterclass that I'll be doing next week, is how to run your design business like a boss. And as you just heard, I have a lot of ideas and tips and tricks and ways, mostly really hard lessons that I've learned because I've done all the things. So I'm going to be sharing that with you. So how to run your design business like a boss. It's all about standing in your space, owning your business model, being 100% confident that you're doing it right? That you're doing it right. And by doing it right, I don't mean to say there's a wrong way. I mean to say, like, make a decision, right? Own it firmly, own it completely, and then stand behind that. So if you don't have a lot of confidence and there's some wiggly spots here and there's some not so solid foundation there, that's the real work of a CEO, is you need to go dig into those places where you don't feel confident, and you need to figure out why. You need to hire an expert if an expert's what you need to make yourself confident. You need to go find best practices, but you need to build that strong core foundation so that you can show up like a boss, that you can show up confident, smiling, presenting six-figure fees with like panache. You can do this. You just have to set up that solid foundation to be able to do this. Okay. So, like I said, I'll be covering how to stand firm in your principles and be adored by your clients. So I go all the way back to my dark night of the soul. I was having a really hard time with client expectations and hourly billing, and just basically wanted to close my design business or totally evolve. And of course, you know the story. I hired all the coaches. I pulled offline. I didn't take on one more design client until I really made sure I got it right, because what I wanted to be able to do was a client-centric, client-loving business model for a designer that is joyful to run and profitable while my clients are thrilled, okay? All possible together. Right? Not only don't have to do just one of those. Okay, so the place to check out this masterclass is interiordesignstandard.com/masterclass. And of course, if you head your way to interiordesignstandard.com, you can't miss it, because I'm going to give you all the information on how to sign up. Masterclass is 100% free. Like I always say, I want to be there with you. I want to rise together. I really do believe that our industry will be more respected and more valued, and just our entire industry can improve if we all share the best of what we have and we rise together. So that's what we're trying to do. We're building that community, and we are just having a blast doing it. So today's episode, we are talking all about standing in your space. And you've heard me say it before, and, you know, talking to you about that foundation and what that means to me. Let's have a little glass of wine, clink, and let's dig in. So as I said to you, standing in your space for me is all about your confidence, right? And it's not fake confidence. It's not fake it till you make it. It's not bravado. It's not weird, yucky fake confidence. It's the pricing that, this is the exact amount of money that I need to charge to make the profit that I desire and be marketable in my industry, like in my area. This is, and I go in, like I always joke about, don't ever negotiate your fees, because then you're negotiable the whole project. Every single pillow, they're going to be saying, can you do it for 25? And you're like, no. So don't ever negotiate your fees. But it's that the idea also is that you don't go into a presentation, you don't go in when you're pricing your design services and you're pricing yourself and you're pricing something subjective like design, like art, all of this. And if you do any whatever creative endeavor that you undertake, that you then personally have to price, it's hard. It's really, really hard to price ourselves, right? To put a value on our art and our project management and our Rolodex and our trades and our sources and the project management that we provide. It's very hard to assign a value to that. So you really need to figure out what it's going to take. What is the bottom line that you need to charge to be both profitable and to the point that you set goals and you want to make a certain amount of money per project or per year or per whatever. And you need to figure out what is it going to take for you to be profitable, but not a penny more, in my opinion. Like, I want to make great money, but not to the point where I'm gouging anybody. I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm feeling like I just took advantage of someone. So I want to really figure out the place where I'm meeting my goals and not a penny more. And then I start with my walkaway price because I don't have any other wiggle room. That's my team taken care of, my art beautifully out, having the time to do the art, having the time to do the design work. That is knowing what project management looks like, knowing what a punch list looks like and how long it takes for that to die, knowing the tenure of a project. I go in with my design fee at my bottom line already, so that when somebody wants to wiggle, I'm already there, right? That's that kind of stand in your space confidence where you walk in and you say, it's going to be 10 grand for me to do this room, whatever. And they say, well, and you can say, no, I'm serious. I can't do it for a penny less. That's the number. And it's just so honest because it's the damn truth, right? That comes from knowing your numbers, and that comes from knowing what your team needs, right? What it's going to take to hit payroll, to hit your insurance, your overhead, and to really give yourself the space and the time to execute a gorgeous project. That is what we do inside of this masterclass. That is what we do inside of the interior design standard. That is the conversation that we're always having with designers. How to get to a place where you can do that, right? It can seem really daunting, but Mike, we can show you how. Because again, I kind of circled the drain for 15 years and decided not to go down it. I decided to figure it out. And so that was the big shift. All right. So we've got questions coming in. I love it. Thank you. Let's dive in. Cheers. There's nothing wrong with a little wine on Wednesday, by the way. Is it Wednesday? I never know. Yeah. Okay. Kendall asks, do you have any tips for saying no when something isn't in the best interest for your business? Oh, yes. Okay. So there is, what did we say the other day? There's a really special joy in saying no to something, right? An opportunity, a project, just a million different things, a collaboration, travel, there's a million little things that come up, right, when you're in business. And being able to have, I guess it starts with knowing where you're going. So if you don't have your vision set up, if you don't have your mission, vision, values set up, if you don't know what you're trying to do, what you're trying to create, where you're going, then you're going to be looking at each opportunity individually. And it's going to be a little harder to understand, is this fit in my wheelhouse or doesn't it? Now, if you know that you want to do high-end residential interior design and eventually have a product line, when a commercial amazing opportunity to do a restaurant in town comes up, if you identified where you're going, your big goals, you can say, oh, that restaurant would be amazing to design. But that's not who I'm growing up to be, right? That's not where I'm headed. So let me refer that out to this incredible commercial designer down the street, and let me remind her that I'll take the high-end residential stuff that she doesn't want to have to deal with, all those decisions, right? So, again, that filter. So, but if you don't create the filter, and I see this a ton with potential clients, if you don't create the filter, you end up taking on a whole lot of really fun sounding projects and ideas, right? But what can happen, especially in the early parts of your career, if you are taking on everything that comes through the door because you're new and you need to, you can end up with no niche whatsoever, no definition of who you are as a designer, and no goal on where you're headed, because your portfolio is going to look like you took everybody who ever called, right? The projects, there's going to be big ones and little ones, and ones in this town and that town and this area and in that style and this style, and you will end up being jack of all trades, master of none, right? Now, if you do the work and you figure out who you want to be when you grow up as a designer, what kind of projects you want to take, what's the style, what's the size of a project, what's the regional area of the project, what's the tone, who are your clients, take it as far as you possibly can. Now a potential client calls and they are right in your wheelhouse. Obvious, yes. Okay. They're not quite a big enough project, but their style is spot on and it's early in your career. Take it. You need to build that portfolio. Use that. Knock their socks off. Do an incredible design that you can photograph. Do you see how that fits? Because it's in your style wheelhouse, even if it's a little small for where you're headed. Again, in the beginning, I'm not saying don't make compromises. I don't want you sitting there twiddling your thumbs with nothing to do because you're waiting for some magical thing to show up. But I am saying start to hone it in so that you are going somewhere. And I don't know, one of those fabulous quotes is like, if you don't know where you're going, you're already there, right? Like, I don't know, you're just doing what you do. But when you set a goal and you track it and you have a destination, it's incredible what you can create. So love the no train, getting on it. Hop on, say no. And don't forget, every time you say no, you're opening space in your pipeline, in your workflow, in your headspace, in your consciousness. Every time you say no to something that's not quite right, you're telling the universe that you're ready and you're holding space for the right thing. It's worth it. Okay, so let me know that you're here. I need to know that you guys are still with me. Are we paying attention? Hi, what's going on? I love it. So let's do a little cheers. You can cheers me by hitting the like button, and that lets me know that you're here with me. And then I would love to hear from you. What are your burning interior design business questions? They do not need to be on topic for the week. It can be anything. Love it. Thank you guys. So good to see you. Kristen asks, how can I set communication boundaries with clients without sounding rude? Okay. Kristen, the number one way, oh, thank you guys. So good. Thank you. Thank you. I know you're out there now. Kristen, the number one way to set boundaries without seeming rude is to set them before the client starts communicating with you. Because what happens is if somebody texts you, I've had 3 sips of wine, and you haven't discussed if text is appropriate or not, you then need to react to that text and let them know that it's inappropriate, right? It's not the way that you want to talk to them. Whereas if you had the conversation up front, the communication, here's how we're going to communicate with one another: in-person meetings, Zoom meetings, email. All other communication, phone calls, all other communication are, not recommended. These are the modes that work best for us, et cetera, et cetera. We're always going to steer this back to blah, 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 whatever. If you can reference something that already said it, you're not being reactionary. You're not being defensive. You're not, mad at them because they texted you. You're simply restating that, I'm going to move this conversation over to email. I'll get back at you Monday. And that's one of those texts that I've sent probably once per project. It reminds them that there's a communication standard. It's already been said. I'm not being rude. And it guides them to know email is best if they're just stream of consciousness, want to get the thoughts out of their head. And that will circle back to this Monday, meaning that I'm not available all the time, all the ways, all the time, right? Have a family, have other fabulous clients that we need to deal with. So yeah, setting those boundaries is really, really wonderful up front. Because again, the earlier you set up those boundaries, the less defensive or complainy or rude you seem later. All right, good luck. I would put that all the way back into your design presentation, your design agreement, your potential client onboarding. Go back as far as you can and just kindly and politely say, I'm going to be in communication with you every single week like this, or every single month in a face-to-face meeting like that, however it goes for you. All right, look at this, House of Huck. I like that. I'm House of Funk. If we put ours together, we would have some trouble. House of Huck asks, do you have a template for this project update? Yes. So we have our Friday project updates that we send to every active client every single Friday, come you know what or high water. We have those all templated, and all of our templates, extensive, are all in the interior design standard. When I decided that I really wanted to share what I'd already figured out from my design firm to other designers, it quickly became apparent that I couldn't just send you that template, and I couldn't just send you, a copy of my design process without giving you the, design agreement that outlines it and explains it to the client. I couldn't give you the design agreement without the process that backs it up. So what I found was that when I was trying to help designers piecemeal, it just wasn't as successful as it could have been. So what I ended up doing is I ended up spending 18 months putting the design standard together. So what that is it's all of it flowed together. It's me explaining how and why, and then the downloads of those templates for you. So it did become a pay-to-play product because of the time intensiveness of putting it all together. And then now we are constantly servicing. So we are always doing updates. We are always trying to improve. We've created a community. So once you're an Interior Design Standard member, there is a community that, keeps us in touch. So we're really in talks all the time about what could we do better, where could we improve, what else would be helpful. Designers are in there chatting with each other and really helping one another. So it is incredible, and you should jump on board this September. We open in literally 1 week. 1 week, you'll be able to become a member of the Interior Design Standard. You'll have all the templates, and you'll have this incredible community of designers that are all speaking the same language in their businesses, which just moves that conversation forward and makes it so much more rich and really rewarding. Cheers to that. Cheers, cheers, cheers. All right, we have more questions. Shall we, people? Christine asks, I want to change to a flat fee model, but clients are always asking for revisions and adding scope to the original contract. Hourly seems easier for these situations to avoid awkward conversations. Thoughts? Okay, Christine, hi, how you doing? I literally was you 10 years ago. So I was in a situation, the same situation, where I was charging hourly, and we'd add a couple of lamps and a pillow in that room, and we'd iterate and iterate and iterate and iterate. And honest to gosh, at the end of the day, Christine, I don't even know if sometimes I recognize that design intent, right? We iterated all these little things individually and got so far from the intention of the design in the beginning that I didn't even love the room anymore. And that was not in my vision for who I wanted to be as a designer, right? Somebody who just kept throwing spaghetti at the wall until the client said yes, instead of really doing like a fully conceived, totally thorough, beautiful design that is like just really think tanked and thought through. So I changed the game. I decided that I was always going to take on more scope. I love more scope. More scope with existing clients is literally gold. But all I'm going to do is say, oh my gosh, I would love to do those 2 lamps and 4 pillows. I'm going to get you a design fee so that we can add that right in. Now, when I say add that right in, what I mean is add that to a new design fee, right? I'm getting paid for my work. This is not a hobby. And I'm going to add that to a new timeline, because scope creep only sucks, pardon my French, when it's added to the current budget or the current timeline. When you give it the space that it deserves, new budget, new timeline, and furnishings budget, like talk all that stuff through, like just like you did for the first round. When you do it right and you go all the way back to the beginning and you see that through, you give yourself the space and time and the room to design beautiful additional scope. For clients that already know you, love you, know how you work, are comfortable with your rates, right? This is a great thing. It's not a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. Just give yourself the space and time and budget to do it right. Okay, then the revisions. Trust me, like I remember, I have so many examples that I can't tell because, clients, of just being run ragged with revisions and literally losing sight of the design and just being in that people-pleasing mode of, okay, I'll show you more. Okay, I'll show you more. Like I remember one night I pulled up, it was late summer. I had, I think 5 huge like D&D interior design, design and decoration building in New York, 5 huge fabric sample bags filled with samples. that is just totally obscene. That is like 101 wrong way to do interior design, right? So what I did there was I gave up on myself entirely, and I decided I was just going to bring the entire D&D to my client who could not make a decision, and I was going to just show them everything until finally something stuck. Well, of course, what stuck was just hella ugly. Of course, because I brought them the entire D&D building to their home instead of doing amazing design on their behalf. Now, if they needed the additional revision, this is one of my favorite lines from Vincent Wolf in some talk he gave at some point in my career that I went and listened to him. At some point, he says to the client, I just don't think what I'm bringing to the table is acceptable to you. Thank you and good night, right? My contract is very clear. I provide the full design for the full scope that we discussed. I include one round of revisions, and then that's it, kids. I don't actually have a note in my contract that even goes past that one round of revisions. So if we can't get through that one round of revisions, it is the time to say, maybe we're just not a fit. I've given you this design. You can certainly use the floor plan. You can certainly use the budget. You can certainly use the sizing of the furniture from scale perspective. You can take one of the design you want and leave the rest, but if we're not a fit, we're not a fit, right? I didn't have that language back then. And I certainly didn't know what the heck I was doing bringing 5 bags of fabric to a client's house. I was exhausting myself, I can promise you that. Anyway, Christine, I only tell you these crazy stories because I've been there, I've been through it all, I've done it all kinds of stupid ways. And then I really sat down and I figured out what was going to work, right? So not throwing spaghetti at the wall, whipping through fabrics until something sticks. Instead, fully conceived presentations where every piece of art, every accessory, like the boards are beautiful. It's really showing a complete and full room so that the clients don't get stuck on one little item, fabric, piece of art, etc. But when I put the whole thing together, I can really speak to how the whole thing flows. I'm also pricing everything together now. I'm pricing by an entire room, and I'm letting them know we set a budget together. I'm giving you this price by the room because I don't want you to get hung up on the cost of an end table if maybe it's a little bit higher than what we budgeted for, because I have incredible, skills and got you this other coffee table at this crazy amazing price, even though it's super high quality and fabulous. So I don't want you to get hung up on it. So I'm just pricing the room, but I can tell you right now, this room is in tandem with the budget that we set together in conceptual design. Oh my God, I could just keep going, Christine, and that's why I created the standard, because the next part of this story is I didn't have conceptual design like I do now. I didn't have are we headed in the right direction aesthetically? Are we setting a budget together? Are we really clear on where we're going? Layout, aesthetic, budget, sign off. Clients sign off on that budget. I make them do it in a online signature format. And then I come back and I'm not guessing and I'm not hoping. I know I'm on the right track aesthetically, layout, and budget-wise. So anyway, like I said, I could just keep going and not to bore the poo-poo out of you, but please come and check out the Interior Design Standard. It really shows you how to do this step by step by step by step so that you are not unloading 5 bags of fabric in the middle of what felt like the night and hoping your client likes something, because that was not that fun. Cheers to that. Guys, sorry, so many questions. No, so many words. Not that many questions. All right. Just me drinking wine in a room alone with the internet. I love you all. I really do. I thank you for showing up, because this would be super sad if I just did this by myself. Okay. Let's do it. Paula asks, no matter how confident I am in my design, I get nervous when attempting to make the sale. How do you stand in your space when selling? Paula, I love this. Cheers. Thank you. Cheers to you. Okay. I love this because similar to how I was talking about laying out your design fee and knowing that it is your profitable bottom, right? It is hitting the goals that you have for your profitability while allowing you to do incredible design, pay for your team, your overhead, your insurance, and leave room for creative time and, musings. But it is your creative bottom, right? So like it gives you this incredible confidence because you're not going to waver, you're not going to negotiate, you're not going to wiggle. It's your bottom. When you are selling, you want to do kind of the same thing. You want to walk into that design presentation and mic drop. You just want to be like, this is your design. Like, it's so freaking gorgeous. It's going to solve all your life's problems. You are going to have a house that flows and has a spot for everything. And your people are going to have a spot to put your feet up and your drink down and to snuggle in and pull a throw up if you get, not a throw up, but a throw up if you get cold. And like all the incredible. And you have to go there when you're presenting that design. You have to paint the picture of their incredible life in their newly designed home. Don't forget, make no mistake, we change lives with interior design. We can absolutely, we get the design, we get the cocktail party like, oh, that must be so fun. And it can be a hella pain in the booty. But we change lives when we really take someone's whole home into consideration, how they want to live, who their family is, what their aesthetic is, who they want to be, right, style-wise. When we actually bring all that into ourselves and give that back to them via interior design, we change lives. So don't underestimate that. What I want you to do is get revved up about that design. And like I just said, I want you to go in there with like a mic drop. I want you to present it so in love with that design, so proud of every detail, totally articulating how it's going to change their life. And then I want you to say, I cannot wait to make this design, right? What? Sandra can't speak today. I cannot wait to make this design come to life. Let's move on to the proposals. Okay. Now here's this tricky part that I figured out that I love so much, client-centric. I don't have to go through the proposals line by line by line or in super duper detail at that time when I'm asking for the sale, because I went through the budget line by line by line, super detailed, and I had the client sign off on that budget about 2 months ago at the end of conceptual design. So I had the tough, what are we going to spend here? How's this going to look? How do we get to a room that costs $50,000? Well, let me show you, right? Oh, okay, yeah. And the number of times I had a client say, gosh, when you look at it line by line by line, it doesn't seem, nothing individually seems that crazy, but it does add up. And it's like, yes, that's the difference between a complete room and a bunch of furniture that the movers set down in the place that they thought it should go, right? It's all the layers are the extra that makes it feel so good. So anyway, big sales tip. Talk budget, go line by line, dig in deep on that when you're not asking for the sale. Then at the end of detailed design, I can't wait to make this dream a reality with you. We are on par with the budget we set together last time. No need to get into the weeds of the numbers. Let's do it. Are there any aesthetic decisions that I made between conceptual and detailed that you want to revisit? One round of edits. Otherwise, let's do this thing, right? There should be no stopping them. We've already set a budget together. We knew exactly the scope we were handling. We knew the layout. We knew the aesthetic direction. Let's do it. Yay! One of my favorite things. You're not really talking about money at the end of detailed design if you follow the standard. Okay, that's it, people. That's what I've got to say. Okay, so what I would love to have you do is please come and join me so I'm not all alone shouting at the internet. Come and hang out with me in my masterclass, How to Run Your Design Business Like a Boss, okay? It's all about getting to that level of rock solid foundation so that you can walk into the room, do the mic drop, present the gorgeous design, present incredible design fees, right? Knowing that it is your profitable bottom, right? Covers you, covers your team, covers your incredible design work. But, you know, not gouging anyone, not taking advantage of anyone, but it is your comfortable, profitable bottom, right? Love it, love it, love it. I see somebody signed up for masterclass. Okay, so free. Again, my whole thing is let's all rise together. So I'm going to share with you how I try to get myself into a place, that headspace of being able to command those six-figure fees, you know, present those crazy designs and those multi-six-figure fee budgets to clients while asking for the sale in the most calm, confident, excited, right way possible. You can find all the details on interiordesignstandard.com/masterclass, or if you just scroll down, it's right on there somewhere. And I can't wait to see you until next time. So listen, 1 week from today, we open the standard. I want to see you inside. We are having crazy amounts of fun. The community is literally growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, growing their businesses, growing their scalability. I'm hearing all the time, I just signed my first client using the program. I'm so excited. I'm taking this next client through it step by step by step. And we also have been doing this standard for long enough that we know we have members who have completed full projects with clients and have had absolute rave reviews from their clients because they always knew it was coming next. They always felt communicated with. They always knew exactly where their money was going, what the next timeline was, what to expect, right? Again, this whole thing happened because I was doing it wrong and I needed to fix it. And I pulled back and I hired 3 different experts, and I spent about 3 months just working through what would a client need to know, when is it appropriate to have what conversation, how am I going to talk about all the different things that go into interior design. And 3 months, myself and 4 really fabulous experts, and I can't wait to show you. We've had hundreds of interior designers have success with it around the world. We're 15 countries strong already and growing every day. All right, I'm Sandra Funk. This was Design Sips, and I will see you next week and all week long. We'll be doing the standard launch, so please come check it out. I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Cheers.